Tonight, unpacking the high-stakes sit-down in Washington.
If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too.
Mutual praise, but will it pay off?
I think they're going to be very happy.
Where talks turn to next as the Prime Minister leaves the White House empty-handed. Two key players of the Freedom Convoy learn their fate.
What do you think will happen today? What are you hoping for?
Hoping that Tamara doesn't go to jail.
Plus, a team controlling their playoff destiny.
And a swing and a high drive to deep left center. He's hit it out!
The Blue Jays bring their brooms to the Bronx, swinging for a series sweep against the Yankees.
Hell yeah, baby!
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. The U.S. president expressed a shift in tone towards Canada during a critical sit-down with the Prime Minister at the White House today. But it wasn't enough to get a resolution, even a partial one, across the finish line. Mark Carney once again calling Donald Trump a transformative president, listing his accomplishments before Trump interjected with a familiar line.
And now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going.
CTV senior political correspondent Michael Couture was inside the Oval Office and walks us through what happened next.
With a firm but friendly handshake, Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived at the White House for his working lunch with U.S. President Donald Trump.
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on.
In a 32-minute Oval Office meeting, Trump called Carney a great man several times, adding he's confident they'd work through the issues preventing a deal on tariffs.
He's a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too.
Trump says the two countries are in a natural business conflict because Canada and the U.S. want to make similar things on both sides of the border.
It's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars. So we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there.
Carney said the two countries are competing, not in conflict.
We are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get.
Following the meeting, the minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade updated reporters on how it went.
It concluded with the President and the Prime Minister directing us, me and my colleagues and the President, his cabinet secretaries who were there, Ambassador Greer, Secretary Lutnick, and others, to continue the conversation and to quickly land deals that will bring, we think, greater certainty in areas where the principal areas would be steel and aluminum and energy.
To continue that work, Dominic LeBlanc will be staying in D.C. for the coming days. And this evening, Prime Minister Carney had a working dinner with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Omar.
All right, Michael Couture in Washington tonight. Mike, thanks. And joining us now is CTV's chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelos. Vassy, observing the two leaders today, the tone was fairly positive and even jovial at times, but at the end of the day, there's still no deal or even sectoral relief from steel tariffs, for example. So what's the big takeaway from today's face-to-face?
Well, the charitable way to look at it, and you'll hear this from Liberals, is that the positive tone of the meeting is something to hang their hat on, right? That it could have gone sideways and it didn't, and they will build on that in the coming hours, in the coming days, and hopefully translate that into something more tangible. The other less charitable view is one you're going to hear from the opposition, which is, so what, right? I know for a fact that the government came to this meeting with a framework for an agreement in place, that they thought there could be movement today. So much so they had various staffers sent out to leak to outlets like ours and others that they thought there would be movement, particularly on sectoral tariff relief. and there wasn't. So I think that's the other side of the coin. There will be a lot of pressure on the government now, despite how good things went today or how not bad things went, to actually make some tangible differences and come home with something that is more than they went to Washington with. Omar.
All right, Vashi, thank you for this tonight. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith was in Ottawa today, making her pitch for a pipeline from her province to BC and taking aim at the project's most vocal opponent. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello.
I think Premier B's comments are un-Canadian and they're unconstitutional.
Fighting words from Alberta's Premier. Bringing her push for a new pipeline to Parliament Hill today, Danielle Smith took direct aim at the major project's most vocal opponent.
It has no private proponent, no route, no private funding.
Alberta's pitch is for a new bitumen pipeline to British Columbia's northwest coast.
All it takes is the Prime Minister to say yes. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get to that by mid-November.
But BC Premier David Eby has come out hard against the proposal, calling it a political creation that would put jobs and the coastline at risk. Today, Eby shot back at Smith, calling him un-Canadian.
It's not the Danielle Smith show, it's the Canadian team. And we all deserve the same opportunity for the same federal funding for our projects as she does for hers. That's not un-Canadian, that is fair, and there is nothing more Canadian than fairness.
Smith met with Mark Carney in Ottawa yesterday, and the Premier said the Prime Minister committed to getting back to her within weeks about the pipeline, as well as a carbon capture project already listed by Ottawa as having potential.
They've been smart and wise, I think, so far to include major projects that are a lot less politically sensitive than the one Danielle Smith is trying to advance here.
Beyond this political fight, Smith said that by mid-November, she's also expecting an answer from Carney as to whether the Liberals are ready to repeal or revise certain environmental policies to attract more private investment. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. The two main leaders of the Freedom Convoy were sentenced by a judge in Ottawa today for their role in the protests that gridlocked the capital 3 years ago. CTV's Judy Trin was at the courthouse for the decision.
After being convicted of mischief, Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, the main leaders of the Freedom Convoy, arrived to hear their fate. Lawrence, what do you think will happen today? What are you hoping for?
Hoping that Tamara doesn't go to jail.
A supporter was arrested before the judge even handed down her sentence. The trial has highlighted schisms in society over vaccine mandates, but Justice Heather Perkins McVeigh said politics has no place in this court and plays no role in the determination of what is a fair, just, and appropriate sentence. For their role as organizers in the 3-week occupation of Ottawa in 2022, both Barber and Leach were given conditional sentences of 18 months. It includes 1 year under house arrest and a curfew after that. Chris Barber helped coordinate the movement of trucks and counseled others to disobey a court order.
For my client's comment, he respects the judge's decision.
Dismantling the protest cost Ottawa police $55 million. The occupation also shut down businesses and disrupted community services. But the court acknowledged both Barber and Leach did try to limit the size of the occupation. Leach had already spent 49 days in jail.
The question of was there remorse for what she did? No. She pled not guilty. She's been found guilty of mischief. We're seriously looking at appealing that finding.
Leach and Barber's legal issues are not over. Both are named in a $290 million class action lawsuit filed by the residents of Ottawa. Omar.
Judy, thank you. A grim anniversary was marked today in Israel, 2 years since the October 7th attacks. Tonight, thousands stood in silence at a memorial event in Tel Aviv, organized by victims' families. More than 1,200 people were killed in the Hamas-led attacks, including 7 Canadians and others with close ties to Canada, the deadliest day in Israel's history. Earlier, the sun rose over the site of the Nova Music Festival, where visitors gathered to remember those who died, walking among rows of posts with photographs of the victims.
She's my heart, and they took it from me. I can never be happy, complete, ever again.
Along with those who were killed, more than 250 were taken hostage. Their families also gathered today, calling for the release of those still held captive. While today in Gaza, smoke was seen in the air over a humanitarian catastrophe on the ground. This man says every day there is hunger, destruction, and death. The Hamas-run health ministry says 67,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel's military campaign that followed the attacks, with much of Gaza's population left homeless and famished. This is what Gaza looked like 2 years ago, and this is what it looks like today. Critical talks over a peace plan are continuing in Egypt, and despite the significant challenges, many see those discussions as a form of hope. CTV's Heather Wright spoke to an Israeli and a Palestinian living in Canada about what the past 2 years have been like for them.
For many, there is a before October 7th, 2023, and an after. 731 days since life changed forever.
I couldn't do anything physically. I was broken.
Rayut Kadar grew up on a kibbutz in Israel and moved with her family to Canada 7 years ago.
Peace was a big part of my life growing up and talking about peace and learning Arabic at school. And I don't know that that's something that will happen when I get to see it.
Her family has experienced anti-Semitism since the war in Gaza began. A swastika was drawn on her son's computer at school, and her family tries to avoid speaking Hebrew in public.
Why does people associate me with the Israeli government? All of my Israeli friends who live in Toronto, none of them support the government.
For Noura Sharab, each day begins preparing for the worst.
Every single day you wake up, you check your phone and check if your family's alive.
Sharab lives in Mississauga but has aunts, uncles, and cousins in Gaza. Last week, she says 12 relatives were killed while waiting for food. She says seeing the constant suffering of loved ones has taken a toll on the entire Palestinian community.
We're not okay. Like, our community is suffering, our community is struggling.
As negotiators meet in Egypt this week to discuss the terms of a possible ceasefire, Sharab says the plan put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump isn't perfect, but it's something.
The first thing that is at the top priority for anybody in Gaza right now is the stopping of the bombs that is raining down on them.
As part of the ceasefire talks, Hamas has said it is willing to release all remaining hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But there are other parts of the American plan that could be non-starters. Israel has said it will not end the war unless Hamas disarms, something the terror group may be unlikely to agree to. Omar.
Heather Wright in Toronto. The anniversary of the October 7th attacks led a Canadian university to shut down over a protest today. Concordia University closed its Montreal campus over protests near the school. Thousands gathered in support of Palestinians and a separate, smaller group in support of Israel. The university's president said classes were canceled as a safety measure after 2 people were arrested at a campus demonstration yesterday. And police in Longueuil, Quebec have released new footage to try and identify a person suspected of abandoning a small baby on a Quebec doorstep Sunday night. Today, police had a message for the mother who may be in desperate need of medical care after giving birth.
This person appears to be holding the child in their arms at the time of recording. We understand that you are undoubtedly going through an extremely difficult time. This act, as upsetting as it may be, shows us that you wanted your child to be safe, and he is.
The infant's mother is being urged to seek medical attention as soon as possible. And switching gears, the Toronto Blue Jays were looking to clinch their playoff series against the Yankees in New York tonight, but they gave up an early lead.
And a swing and a high drive to deep left center. He's hit it out!
Superstar Vladimir Guerrero Jr. kick-started the Jays' offense with a home run. The Yankees stormed back from a 6-1 deficit, exploding for 8 straight runs to win 9-6. But Jays fans back in Toronto still have hope.
0 to stress, like off the scale, but pretty happy right now.
It's getting a little stressful. The sweater's getting a little warm. These Yankees rolling back, but we're okay.
Cautiously optimistic, we'll put it that way. But the Jays got this. They got it.
And the Blue Jays still lead the series 2-1. CTV's Sean Leathong is outside Yankee Stadium in New York to walk us through what went wrong and what's next. Sean.
Well, Omar, we will be back at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night for Game 4 after the Toronto Blue Jays let a great opportunity slip through their fingertips this evening. The Jays starting off very strong in the top of the first with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting a 2-run home run, and it seemed like the Jays were off to the races. Just 2 innings later, they broke it open for a 6-1 lead, and then things seemed to fall apart. The Yankees clawing back to make it 6-3, and then in the bottom of the fourth, Aaron Judge with one swing of the bat tying the game, making it 6-6, and the Jays couldn't do anything right after that. The Yankees couldn't do anything wrong. Final score 9-6 for the New York Yankees, a game that seems to have shifted momentum in this series in many ways, but the Blue Jays still lead this series 2-1, looking for a bullpen day tomorrow because the Blue Jays don't have a set starter for Game 4, hoping they can squeeze one out in the Bronx. If they don't do so, they'll be coming back to Toronto to play Game 5 on Friday, Omar.
All right, Sean, fingers crossed. Thank you so much. Coming up.
It seems, they're using this important funding as a way to reward conservative insiders.
Why Ontario's multi-billion-dollar jobs training program is under fire. Plus, how the U.S. government shutdown is hampering air travel. The federal government is now reviewing a multi-billion-dollar jobs training program in Ontario after a scathing provincial Auditor General report that raises questions whether who got the money was more often driven by politics than merit. Here's CTV's John Woodward.
This is more than training. This is transformational.
That's according to this video by the King Animal Hospital about its grant from the Ontario Skills Development Fund to train at least 100 registered veterinary technicians in a luxurious campus north of Toronto.
We have a gym, we have 2 kitchens, we have a lounge area.
CEO Tracy Jones said in a statement, "We are addressing a critical workforce shortage requiring specific critical care skills, reducing turnover, and strengthening the province's animal health care system."
Keep going, Marmaduke. You can do it. You're a good boy.
The Animal Hospital hired a lobbyist to get that grant, something Ontario's Auditor General flagged in her review of the $2.5 billion fund that has been criticized for funding private skills training at bars, dentists, a bakery, even a casino, amidst a crisis in public colleges. CTV News looked at the data. We found at least $100 million in grants obtained with the help of a lobbyist. The lion's share, at least $82 million, tracked to one company, Rubicon Strategy, run by Premier Doug Ford's former campaign manager, Corey Tenike.
It seems, they're using this important funding as a way to reward conservative insiders.
Ford defending the program at the legislature today.
The Skills Development Fund is one of the best programs we've ever put together. It's created over 700,000 opportunities for people.
But Canada's federal government, which has provided funding for jobs training, says it's reviewing the report from the Auditor General. A spokesperson for Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu said, "We will also be engaging with the Government of Ontario on this matter to undertake full due diligence and seek mitigation measures to ensure funding is used effectively and transparently for our labour market agreements."
It's our money, it's on our budget, it's on our books.
Ford saying the grants are crucial for the province's economy. Critics saying they could be a whole different animal. John Woodward, CTV News.
Overseas, British police say they've taken down a criminal gang accused of smuggling 40,000 stolen cell phones to China. It is the largest ever operation against phone theft, resulting in 46 arrests. The gang could be responsible for about 40% of all mobile phone theft in London. As this footage shows, the crimes usually involved swiping the devices from pedestrians and fast getaways on e-bikes. Still ahead, what happened when a helicopter hit a California highway? The impact of the U.S. government shutdown is now spilling into airports. On the left, Nashville dealing with the full ground stop, while Chicago also delayed, all due to staffing shortages. And there are warnings more major airports could also be impacted. An air traffic control tower in Burbank, California, sat empty for hours, forcing pilots to call San Diego controllers for backup. Air traffic controllers are expected to work without pay for now, on top of working mandatory overtime because there aren't enough of them. 3 people were critically injured when a medical helicopter crashed on a California highway. One of the victims was trapped and freed by firefighters and bystanders who lifted part of the wreckage. The pilot, a nurse, and a patient were rushed to hospital. Despite the aircraft crashing on a busy highway, no one was injured. And a spectacular car crash caught on dash cam in Montreal as the vehicle veered into the next lane, forcing the other vehicle to flip onto its hood and slide down the highway. Again, no injuries and no charges. Police are investigating. Still ahead, why Canadian artists' work is slated for demolition in a major American city. A bold symbol of public art created by Canadian has towered over a plaza in San Francisco for decades. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin spoke to the Quebec sculptor on the fight to preserve a piece of history.
Armand Vaillancourt's archives are a treasure trove.
1997.
Filled with stories of the colorful Quebec artist's life of creativity and controversy lived on the world stage.
I did 3 times the Times magazine, yeah.
But now at the age of 96, one file is always on his mind.
It has been a witness.
He's fighting to save the monumental Vaillancourt fountain, unveiled in 1971 in San Francisco, now slated for potential demolition.
I'm not there to please nobody.
The fountain, a brutalist work of art, has long divided onlookers and city officials. Vaillancourt's support of Indigenous protesters in the late 1960s sparked controversy, and he was left off the fountain inauguration guest list, but he showed up anyway.
He entered the water and wrote Québec Libre on his own work.
In 1987, U2's Bono graffitied the structure during a concert. And the fountain survived the devastating 1989 earthquake, becoming a cultural landmark and also a skateboarding mecca, featured in a Tony Hawk video game, and that lends its name to a Nike shoe. Now, San Francisco's Art Commission says it's a structurally unsound, hazardous structure which would require multi-million-dollar renovation in order to bring the fountain up to current health and safety standards. Vaillancourt, his son Alexis, and supporters in the arts world dispute the assessment, calling it political, but also say the fountain is worth saving.
If you erase a kind of monument like that, you erase a part of the history.
What is the strongest argument that you made to keep the fountain?
It deserved to have a long life again.
There was a public meeting in San Francisco last night where there were a lot of comments about the fountain, but the final decision has yet to be made according to the city. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
And that's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.